Hello. On this episode of the Inventive Marketing Club, we're going to be looking at homepage banner images. We're going to look at their effectiveness, how they're used in the space of the website, different styles available. We're going to be focusing on a lot of major brands and maybe a few clients. Really looking at a review of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And Claire's joining me to go through these. And in fact, Claire, you've picked most of these ones for us to look at. So let's just jump straight in, shall we?
Yes.
So Marks and Spencer's the first one here, and I quite like it on the face of it. You know, just beneath the main banner of the website, underneath the menu, we've got this quite fast moving video, which is just showing off various people wearing clothes, lots of models wearing clothes. It's quite action orientated. It really captures attention. Certainly, my eye jumped straight to it. But what I quite like about this is it's just on a portion of the banner. On the left-hand side, you've got a little bit of text and a couple of links. If I just scroll down a little bit, you've got a couple of links that take you to some key sections within it. So it's actually quite multi-purpose. What about you? What do you think?
I really like it. I think it's the tonal colors. It's quite sort of calm, sort of therapeutic to look at. I like how the text combines with the sort of yellow dividers. So they've got the colors sort of interlinking. And yeah, it catches your eye, it draws you in, but then it's also useful because it's providing you links to key areas in the site. But it's not too busy or overcomplicated.
No, as a header, I don't think it is. I do think it's quite fast-paced. Now,
Mm.
as I keep watching it, I'm finding it more and more intense. So I think it's not a screen that you would sit on and linger with, but it does grab attention. The moment you're on the site, it's showing you stuff straight away. It does have a pause button here. So I think some people might think it's a bit too intense, but oh, it paused for a bit. What happened there? What actually paused? It paused for a second and started again. Weird. But as a banner, in terms of its effectiveness, I quite like it. I think for me, if we just sort of take a step back, banners have been something since we've had faster internet and more sort of larger screens. People have gone for bigger and bigger images. And with JavaScript on the scene, people want images to sort of rotate round. And we've got a few examples that do this. And for me, it's always a bit of a bugbear that people want to stuff too much onto this above the fold section. They want to put too much on there, especially if you've got a large website or company with multiple departments in. They all want to feature on here. And that I feel can sometimes cause conflict. I think it needs whoever's managing the website to have some sort of clear definition of what they're trying to focus on, because you can't grab attention on everything all the time. You've got to pick and choose. And I think this does a pretty good job of compromising on focusing on an area of clothing, but then also allowing people to dip into these other areas here, which I quite like. So apart from maybe the fast pace and you couldn't just sit and watch it for a while, it does actually do a good job. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
I think you selected this as well. This is Currys. I haven't bought anything from Currys for years. I remember when I was younger, I used to love going to Currys and just looking at all the computers and the tech stuff they have. I don't think it's as interesting now. So I certainly haven't been there for ages.
So with
You
this
tell me
one,
about this one.
it's quite a traditional kind of style, I think, by putting on lots of information. However, I think this works better than some examples I've seen because even though it's sort of within the banner area, it's three separate images and they're each focusing on three different areas that they want you to sort of focus on and push. So I think it works quite well, even though it's busy.
There is a lot going on for sure. I mean, you say it's traditional. I'd say this is not traditional in many ways because it's not just focused on one and then scrolling through and showing something else. In some ways, this is better because it's just showing them all on one screen. While it's busy, it's not frantic. There's no motion here to get to sort of attract your attention. And you know, why do we need to attract people's attention? They're on the site looking. We now need to help them find out where they want to go next. So I quite like it from that perspective because it's got big text. So if you want to do like you want to trade in and get money off from your gadgets, they do that. If you want to buy something and pay later, it's telling you it does that. If you want deals, it's got that. Oddly, the New Year Epic deals, for some reason, isn't as clear as the tech, the sort of purple on light yellow. I don't know why. For me, the tech now, pay later, and cash for trash
Mm.
jumps out at me a lot more than the New Year Epic deals. Maybe
Yeah,
that's just the way my brain works.
I think the takeaway from looking at the two that we've just looked at is if you want lots of information on, it needs to be static because you need to have that breathing space to digest it. However, if you don't have as much information, then maybe you can introduce movement and make it slightly busier in that way. So, because if you combined them, it would just be a car crash, I think, at the moment.
Oh, it would be too much. But if each of these were moving, maybe you could have some subtle movement. So you could have, you see it in sometimes restaurant menus, digital menus, if you go into a restaurant, especially like chains, they'll have screens up and they just have a little touch of movement on there, maybe a wisp of steam coming off a drink, or maybe just a little animation. So you could get away with a little bit of that on there, but you couldn't have them all fighting for each other because it's just going to put people off. Um, I do think they've gone a bit overboard on the text, but I think it's okay because it's a bit calmer and it's static. So I'll let them off on that. But I probably, if I was designing it, I would probably try and tone that down a little bit. The problem is when you have bigger companies, there's certainly a lot of legal information that needs to go on there. A lot of you get a lot of people involved in the copy, and it can kind of water things down a little bit, and sort of you lose the sharpness that you might have if you've got one person focused on it. But yeah, I like the idea of splitting things up. Let's move on to the Beefy Boys. So this is local to where we started the company in Hereford. Quite a different site, really. They've got this full bleed background that rotates around, which while I don't normally like banners that rotate, I quite like this one because often those rotating banners, they move, they shift. There's a lot going on, and this is just a fade between these images, and it's showcasing key things about the company. It's showing what they do, burgers. It's showing the restaurant. So when it fades to the next image, it's showing the restaurant there. It's not totally clear because it's covered by a video, but I quite like that. Like the way it bleeds into the edge, and it's fun, which is what the Beefy Boys is.
It's about, yeah, it's very fresh, I think, and it kind of has that funky personality that the company has. So I think they've sort of translated that really well. And it's a bit different. You're not quite expecting to sort of see a postcard of a video on the banner, but it also gives you the option to watch it or not watch it as well, because sometimes you're
Yeah, I
kind of
was
forced
wondering
to watch
that.
things.
If I were doing this, I would probably create a short loop, like a 15-second loop of the
Mm.
key highlights of that video or taster that just runs in the background that attracts you to want to play it. So they've not gone for that. They've gone for something, as you say, maybe that's a better option that just says, yeah, it's here, you can play it if you want. Let's have a quick look. Let's just
I
play it.
think
When there'll be no
actually
sound on this.
the movement in the background, if that was all also moving when you first entered, I think it'd be too busy.
Yeah. I actually like the fact it's very simple. It looks lovely actually underneath the menu. They've even got a nice, don't know why I might have lost for words, but they've got a nice sort of dark rectangle over there to lift out the text. It really makes this text at the top pop.
Mm.
So in terms of clarity, it's pretty good. You can really see these key um, areas, key call to actions. I love the little buttons on the side here. This is quite funky. So you could actually have a short loop of this explaining things, but perhaps people want to just click on it and play it straight away. Yeah, it's nice. I like the little ninja as well. It's a nice funky design site, and I think they can certainly, for their brand, it works really well. So let's move on to the next one. This is Cafe Nero, so a big chain, and you've got a very calm image here with your coffee awaits. Well,
Yeah,
does this make you? I mean, I know you don't drink coffee, Claire, but does this make you want to go and have a nice, comforting drink of something?
it's very serene. Yeah, It's that kind of morning coffee moment, isn't it? It's that sort of calm before the storm of your day. So it's Yeah, it is inviting, it is enticing. I think you can kind of see that there's a bit of a range. I don't necessarily like banners that are full screen like this because sometimes I want to know the information. So I like the information to be peaking a little bit to sort of encourage me to get to the right place within the website. So I'm not a huge fan of a landing page, which is just one big image.
Yeah. So they've tried to encourage, so tell people there's a bit more here with this scroll for more. But I'm with you. I think why have an instruction when you can give a hint? And so let's see what's beneath there. So what I would try and do is just have that, maybe reduce some of um, the
So
vertical space between the text. Just have a little bit of that peeking out with the banner above. And then you know instinctively there is stuff beneath it and you'll just want to scroll anyway. I think these instructions are almost, they're put on there because people feel, oh, when you've got your committee looking at this, they go, well, how will people know that there's more beneath it? So we have to add. So I think the design is sort of fighting against each other itself a little bit. For me, I love coffee, as people know, and this little cup here with the lovely crema on top does make me excited for a coffee here. However, Cafe Nero is all about the experience. It's about the stores and going to the stores. I think the website for them isn't necessarily about selling product. So it's not about bringing people in with a call to action and driving them through some kind of sales funnel. It's more about being a place where they can have what they've got up here. Who is Cafe Nero? Careers and more about the company if people need to know that. So maybe in terms of it doing its job, it's okay. Moving on here, Pampers, baby products. Tell me about this banner from your perspective, Claire. It's been a long time since our kids have been in Pampers, frankly.
well, I was surprised at how basic it was actually, and it's sort of quite old-fashioned, I would say, because it's not even full width. There's sort of spacing around it, sort of from the top and the bottom, and um, usually these days you don't have so much white spacing around. It just it's quite plain. It's quite boring, if I'm honest.
Yeah. And what do we think this is doing? So people who are dropping onto the Pampers homepage, why are they here? I don't know. Usually you're directed somewhere from a QR code or a link from some promotional email, so you'll jump straight into it. So when you land on the homepage, when you actually go to pampers.co.uk, why are you there? Why are you at this big brand website? And they've chosen to put this banner to earn free nappies at the top. I download now, so I've got to get that app to be able to do that, and that's interesting. I don't know if that would be the first thing that people coming to this website would be wanting to do. I'm not sure what their users do. Is it more corporate, a bit like Cafe Nero, that people are coming to the Pampers homepage and it's more of a corporate thing, or is it actually they want to find information, like they want to know we've got a problem with the Pampers. They're leaking, or maybe they don't know how to put them on, so they want to watch it. They want to watch a video on how to do that. And I wonder what this actually means.
I think Pampers is very keen for people to sign up to their club, so that's obviously a priority for them,
Mm.
just purely being on the banner and um, with with their approach on their marketing campaigns. And I guess that they put it with the free carrot of free nappies. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so. So I
so
think from this, the header banner is quite simple, but the objective is to serve them. They want something that they want you to do, so they put this up there. Even though I'm not sure this is the first thing people need to see.
maybe that's why they moved away from it because they don't need to give that message. So they're almost quite confident in their product that they can just have their own motive, which is to sign you up to their club.
Yeah,
So maybe it's just a point within the company where they don't have to feature their products as such.
yeah, could be. We don't know. We don't know about we have no insider knowledge as to what the motivation for this particular how they've set this up. But they are what they do have, and I quite like on above the fold, so on the first view without scrolling, they've got some key links to key things that they think people might need to know about, um, which is quite useful. So moving on to Ryanair. So, oh, that's a quite crazy slider that came in. So this is we actually swapped this out from another one you picked because for some reason it wasn't working. But it was maybe a better, the previous one was a better example of a banner, but for some reason was messed up. So we thought we'd go with this Ryanair one, which you've got, I don't know, for me, there's a lot going on here. You've got this utility of a in the header section where which a lot of accommodation providers or travel providers have this. It's like we are putting front and center a form to allow you to just jump straight in and put in your dates, where you want to go, what you want to achieve, submit. That's great, really useful. So that's they've kind of built that into the header banner on the homepage. But if we move down to what we're looking at more conventionally in this session about actual banners, they've got quite a few options going on here. And I don't know about you, Claire, but I find these banners quite intense. You've got quite, they've got basically two things you want people to do. And I'm not sure, for me, that when people come to this website, you haven't got long to get them engaged. So either they just want to book a flight because they know where they want to go, or they're looking for deals or ideas. And I think this to me is quite intense. And I need to spend some time actually reading what's going on here. Do you agree, or do you have a different view on this?
Yeah, no, they are busy. I think just one of those banners would be more than enough. But I think it's just like the stark contrast of the colours. That second one is very busy with the location of the palm trees sort of mixed in as well. I think it's partly their colour choice. They're very sort of loud.
They are loud. Yeah, look, we've actually got another moving, interesting banner here that moves automatically. I'm not doing that. It's like some accordion tabs which are moving in and out just to get your attention and show you what's in there. I mean, you can jump into each of these sections. I'm not going to go into that now, but I don't know. I mean, I sometimes think if you have to animate things to show people what's there, maybe you want to change the user interface a little bit so they don't need to be shown. It's just obvious. They can intuit where things are. So I think for me, they're trying to cram a lot onto this page. Maybe it works well for them. Maybe it works well in terms of confusion. I know some companies use confusion as a way of funneling their customers through to things they want them to see. But I don't know. I find this quite intense. It wouldn't be somewhere I'd want to put our banners or design banners for a site like this. Lenovo, quite a big company, make a lot of PCs and laptops. You tell me about this banner, this very simple banner.
This is your standard template banner, isn't it, really? Have a bit of text to the side and it's nicely slides. Does it slide
It
nicely?
does slide. I'm forcing it to slide here, but it should. If I just click off it, it should just slide on its own. It was earlier.
And they've got the typical three standard banners, which usually comes with most templates. It's okay. I don't think it's particularly grabbing. The images don't really make much sense to me in relation to the brand. It just feels like stock images. So yeah, it's generic. It's not memorable. You'd quickly scroll off that to find the information that you want.
This, to me, is a typical banner I don't want to create on a website, but I do get asked to make, and I try and steer people away into something a bit more static or video related because I think it's more impactful. You're quite right. I think there's certain key messages people want to get across. There's two AI messages. I think this is the first one. So they're talking about their new era of AI fueled innovation, which, it's the thing of the moment and it is important. It's growing. It's something that is now pervading into everything. And if you are a company like Lenovo and you're not talking about AI, you are left behind. So they have to be featuring this quite heavily. So I can see why it's on the front of their homepage. But you're quite right. This is just stock imagery, or at least it's like stock imagery. It doesn't mean anything. And even though they've got this message is more important. But I'm just looking at this bright part on the right hand side, and this message I'm just ignoring. It just I don't know what they're talking about. Same with this one. I mean, it's really nice image, really interesting. It's high quality. It looks really nice, but it doesn't, apart from being a computerized image, it doesn't really link in with what they've got here. And then this one, great image. This guy stood on a sign looking over a cityscape. Great, amazing. But don't know why they need this here in the banner. If people want to know more about Lenovo, then there are maybe other places they can dive into it. That's an ideal place for this menu item. People can just go to that. So I'm not really sure. This is very much conventional banner setup. Now let's have a look at actually one of our clients, Imago Furniture, and this is their Office Pods and Booths website. And hopefully this is combining everything I like about banners. So we've got a video in the background, which is full bleed left to right, and it goes underneath the menu, which I quite like. It doesn't do that on all the pages, just on the home page. It's quite nice. And when we scroll, the menu item actually sort of fades in to allow us to see over the top of it quite clearly. But we've got these core areas here, phone, meeting, work. They're sneaking in to the picture so we can actually see them quite clearly. I think there's still quite a bit too much information on here. We need to sort of refactor a little bit. I was, every time I look at sites, I'm always trying to look at it from a customer point of view and saying, what can we do to clarify this message? So yeah, we've got a quite simple message at the top. We've got one call to action. But we've got this little bit of text here, which is just adding a little bit of extra detail. Maybe we can move that somewhere else, but hopefully I think it's fairly straightforward. But for me, what I like about the video is it's showing product, it's showing product in use, and it's showing hopefully happy, smiley people. So it's showing how the products will integrate into your environment. It's quite passive. I don't need to do anything. It's not too fast like the M&S one or like some sliders which move on automatically. It feels quite comfortable to me. I know, what are your thoughts, Claire?
I like the balance between the banner and the content coming up. I think for me, I like a banner, but I also don't want it to take up the whole page. So for me, this is really good on the navigation side. It's encouraging people to scroll down and get into the 3 categories of products quite quickly.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Well, yeah, it's always interesting to see how these things work, but hopefully it's combining a lot of the elements that I really like, but also hopefully helping people who actually have they want to find a meeting pod. So that's something we're focused on. Our final example is ecology. So this is quite a nice style of site. It should load a video in the background. Maybe it stops because it's been running on there for quite some time. Let me just refresh the page. So again, we've got this completely full bleed video. So it's full bleed left to right and top to bottom. So it's filling the whole page. And I think it adapts depending on how you move your browser around. It's always filling the page. It's lovely. It's actually quite nice. You can watch and basically see many of the actions that ecology have. Sort of demonstrates maybe, if not what they do, what they're about. So I quite like that. And then it's got a core message stat over the top, which is actually quite clear. Although for me, I came to that second. I went to the image in the background first, and then I come to the actual message over the top. And then you can scroll for more. And it's all, very cartoony, actually, the rest of the interface. But, in terms of the header banner, I really like it. I like the quality of it. It looks nice.
Yeah, well, it's that saying, isn't it, that an image can sort of say 1,000 words. So what can a video say when you've got 25 frames per second? So yeah, there's something sort of very calm, and it sort of builds personality, with the right video about the product or the service that the company's trying to sell. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I think it allows them to touch on all those things. We were talking earlier about lots of departments and lots of people within the company. We need to mention all these different things. I think a video can do that and take people on a journey
yeah,
and
an
set the scene.
emotional journey, isn't it?
Yes,
This is very
absolutely.
much an emotional journey about sort of climate change and people working together.
That's right. And this is real video. It works so much better. With the Office Pods one, we made that video just from static video, static images that were provided from the manufacturers for all of the pods. But with this, I'd always recommend if you get real video, it looks so much better. Really, really captivates.
And
Just
oh, sorry, Ben. And I think because it's more of a concept rather than a single product or service. I think video then lends itself far better because you can't get that in just a sentence or one image. It would be very hard to sum up ecology in that way. So I think video for them works really well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I don't think I mentioned. So what Ecology do is, and we use them, they allow you to offset the carbon that you use within your business. Now, so they will take money, you pay them for a certain amount of carbon offsetting, and they will fund programs to plant trees and restore nature. So those trees and nature can become a carbon sink, and so you're basically offsetting the carbon that you're producing. We use them for the small amount of carbon that we produce because it's actually a very easy process to do. You pay per employee. They give you an estimate of what that might be. And I think actually, did we look at ecology as part of one of our previous club sessions where we're looking at their dashboard for managing your carbon use. So yeah, quite a nice company, quite simple, quite straightforward. I will just touch on here in terms of the banner. There's quite a lot on here, but it's done quite well. They've got their Trustpilot score on here. They've got the fact that they're a B Corporation, which is, no mean feat. It's a lot of effort to go through that continually. And it's actually, they need to continually improve. They can't just stay static like you can with ISO standards. You actually have to keep improving all the time. I'm not sure what this restoration logo is about, but I quite like the way they stand out. They've got just the key bits of information on there that they need. I think it's quite a well done banner. Hopefully you like the approach to our focus on sessions. We've got lots of other ideas of things that we can look at and dive into, and it's quite nice to actually critique and look at other different brands and see how they work, and hopefully demonstrate some of the ideas that we have and the way that we think. So thank you everyone for watching this episode of the Inventive Marketing Club. You can learn more and find great episodes or join at ratherinventive.com/club. That is ratherinventive.com/club. Bye for now.